everybody, this is the Wikstrand. So, Hanna-Barbera cartoons. What do I think about them? Well, I really like Warner Brothers cartoons. I love the characters, I love the style of animation, and I love the humor. When it comes to the Disney animated things, they are slightly below in my opinion. Not quite as funny, not quite as excellent when it comes to the characters, but the animation is absolutely gorgeous. So you basically have a three-legged stool with this thing. Hanna-Barbera's basically have, cut away all the things because the animations are not very good. The humor isn't that good at all, and the characters fucking sucks. This is especially true when it comes to, some of the worst offenders. Top Cat, I hate Top Cat. I didn't like Fred Flintstone either, and one of the characters I liked the least was Yogi Bear. And when I found out that some madman thought that they were going to do a Yogi Bear live action movie, I said to myself, how are they going to do that? Granted, the Flintstone movies, while not being very good, at least, had episodes that ran for like 18-19 minutes and actually, had a plot that had, variations to themselves. Yogi Bear ran for like 7-8 minutes or something like that, and they basically were the same thing. They were, a bunch of shenanigans, and Yogi Bear was stealing picnic baskets, and Raider Smith got upset about it, and then everything, fixed itself in the end and stuff like that. And that was the entire thing. And I was thinking, how on earth are you going to make this into a full-length feature film? That's what we're going to find out today. This is going to be rough. This is my review of Yogi Bear. So Yogi Bear, who is voiced in this movie by Dan Aykroyd, we'll get to that in a second, together with best friend Boo Boo, voiced by Justin Timberlake, is up to their usual shtick and are stealing, picnic baskets and stuff like that. But Yellowstone Park is in a lot of trouble. The park isn't profitable. I guess they just had too many, bad reviews on, Yelp. I liked the park, but I was attacked by the wildlife, and this bear with tie and a hat stole my food. I'm never going back here again. I don't know. Anyway, so the mayor is considering selling the entirety of Yellowstone Park to a logging company. Now, this movie never turns fully into, a forest warrior or a fern gully or some stupid nonsense like that. The environmental friendly thing is, kept to a relatively low part of this movie. One of the few nice things you could have said about this movie. So Ranger Smith, played by Tom Cavanagh, and all the charisma that he does not have, is trying to figure out how to fix this situation. There's also a bit of a power struggle within the Ranger ranks, as TJ Miller, his junior operator, thinks that he should be given more and important tasks, but Ranger Smith doesn't think that he is quite ready for it yet. There is also this documentary filmer that has come here to, make a documentary of Yogi Bear. Maybe she can help somehow. She's played by Anne Faris. Now, I'm struggling to try to figure out more ways of saying the phrase, this movie has a boring plot, but that is what this movie has, an incredibly boring plot. You can almost, close your eyes and see in the entirety of this movie, every beat, every plot point, every character's motivations, and everything you think is going to happen in this movie happens in this movie. And it was so dull, and it was so boring, and it was so slow moving, and nothing happened. Well, one thing happened that I didn't expect, them to do, mainly because it was so fucking stupid. Now, what is Ranger Smith's idea of trying to make Yellowstone Park more profitable? Throw a gigantic party and have fireworks. That's a great idea. That's the most American thing I think I've ever heard. This doesn't work, throw, explosive materials at it and it shall work. in a fucking forest. You're setting off fireworks in a forest. You know how many fires that, get started by fireworks every year. And you're doing it in a forest. You dumb idiot. So anyway, this is a boring, uninteresting, family-friendly adventure comedy without the adventure and without the comedy. Featuring some of the single worst special effects I've ever seen. The green screen effect, during the rafting sequence is horrendously awful. And it also features some of these, 3D effects that were popular at the time. The turtle with his tongue wrapped around Yogi's head is especially horrible. Ugh, that was horrible. Now, when it comes to Dan Aykroyd, one of my favorite comedians of all time, I thought that it would have been good, even great, if he could have played Ranger Smith, but at 58 years old, which I believe he was at the time, maybe he was deemed too old to play him. But still, he could have been, the old Ranger Smith, and there was some new Ranger that could have come in and, going to replace him or something like that, and, that could have worked if he was a little bit older. I think it would have been better than, this Tom Cavanaugh guy who I don't think I've seen in any movie before or since. And TJ Miller was just quite annoying. And the fact is that I didn't think that he worked as Yogi. Granted, he kind of sounds like Yogi, but having Dan Aykroyd in this movie was not a benefit to this movie because he had nothing to work with. And he was just such an insufferable character that I wanted him actively to, get shot by poachers or something like that. There was maybe a half of a joke that worked. I know there was something that made me go a little, but that was just about it. I hate this movie a lot. And maybe I am not the designated audience for it, I know. But you can make family-friendly movies who are, like good. There has been some, unexpected gems throughout the years. Monster Trucks is a movie I think is absolutely hilariously awesome, while being one of the dumbest ideas I've ever seen. It was executed in such a fun and unique way that it worked. This movie feels like they have phoned this one in and they have just had an obligation to do it rather than something they wanted to do. Well, we can at least be happy that Yogi Bear didn't rap in this movie. I don't think he did, because if he would have done that, I probably would have deducted even more points for this damn thing. But this is a horrible, boring, awfully predictable and lame movie. Stay away from Yogi Bear. I didn't like the show about Yogi Bear and I fucking hate this movie. Yogi Bear is a boring, lame, lazily made movie that I cannot give any more than 4 points to. I hate the majority of this movie. The things that aren't predictable and lame are just boring and lazy. And there is nothing really that works in this movie to this movie's benefit. I know what they were sort of trying to do, they just couldn't make it work. I don't think that it helped the fact that I don't like Yogi Bear as a character, never has, never will. And comparing them to, Fred Flintstone, Barney Rubble, which is basically what Boo Boo and Yogi Bear is. Barney Rubble is such a more enjoyable character than Boo Boo is. Boo Boo is one of the most boring characters that I've ever seen. He's like a lame, cautionary yes man, if that term even works. But Jesus Christ, this movie. So does anybody actually like this movie, or Yogi Bear for that matter? Comment below and I'll see you next time from, well, so and so reviewing, well, such and such. Thank you for watching. Thank you very much.